Hello and welcome, everybody. We're so delighted today to see everyone. Welcome to Feng Shui with Anita and Cheryl. Now, you may notice it's just Cheryl today with our guest, but trust me, Anita is here with us in spirit and physical body. You just can't see her or hear her today. So we're excited because this is a new episode for our F.L.A.C playlist, F.L.A.W.C. And for those of you just joining us for the first time, because, well, there's a first for everything, the F.L.A.C currently and originally stood for Fruit Loops and Wind Chimes Club. And our intention behind this playlist is to introduce our F.L.A.C to our F.L.A.C. As things continue to grow and we create a bigger circle and a movement that continues with it, we want to continue introducing our F.L.A.C, F.L.A.W.C, to our F.L.A.C. And on occasion, we have guests come up with another definition for that acronym because, of course, it could stand for, flowing love and whirling chi, which came from Tara Catherine Collins. And we've had a few other ones. But without further delay, I am excited because I get to share one of my very long time and good friends with our F.L.A.C. Please let me introduce Ranchelle Van Bryce.
Thank you so much. Aw, what a great introduction. I'm just like, here's a virtual hug for you and everyone else that's here. Super excited to be here. Thanks, Cheryl.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So Ranchelle, quite often people know us now, but they don't know what we've been through. They don't know our awakening process. They don't know bits about our family. So would you mind, like, if you're comfortable, if you're not, just say pass, because I get it. Sharing a little bit about your upbringing, your family life, like when you realized some of your spiritual gifts, and were they supported or were they shunned and shut down, which happens to a lot of people.
A lot of people, right? Yeah, no, I love that. Thanks for that question. So I will be as brief as possible and share what I think is probably important information. So I love the question, Cheryl. You and I've had conversation. I felt very different, when I was born into the family that I was born into. And I'm just, for those of you who are aware of AA, Al-Anon, Alatine, I have permission to share this story. So my father is an alcoholic. He's been sober for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And but I have permission to share this. And so life was a little bit difficult for me growing up, with my father who was an alcoholic and my mother who, she says this all the time. She was her words, not mine. She was crazy. Right. So she was, as a complete control freak person, was less so-ish now. And so just growing up in that environment, right, with my father drinking and my mom wanting everyone in her life to behave, including her children, and just the whole essence of what happens. But I remember like laying in bed at a very young age, like I'm talking like 9 or 10, after this awareness that I was different. Laying in bed and going, I don't belong here. Like, I don't belong with these people. And at that time I used the word God. God must have made a huge mistake. And I'm in a reality that I shouldn't be in. And I was aware of different realities. And I think Star Trek maybe even just came out, right? So I was like, somebody else has my life. Her name, at that time, my name was Randy. So there's like another Randy running around. And I'd like to change places because this is not the coolest place to be.
Wow.
And just always felt like that black sheep, just never really fit in with anybody, right? Just for whatever reason. And I mean, I'm so grateful, I understand why now, that all the things that have happened in my life have happened for me and not to me, but just that general awareness that I'm different, mm-hmm. right? And really not the confidence to be able to express that, to family members. And my family is fairly, I think I'll use the word regular, like in their thought processes and mm-hmm. their values. I am that woohoo person. I've been a woohoo girl since I was 20 years old. I'm 52. So for 32 years, I've been that kind of out there,
Mhm.
chick. And so, and I just accepted that parts of me, I accepted that I was different. I shouldn't say I'm fully accepting that now. And it's been a journey,
Mhm.
it's certainly been a journey. The next one I think I'll share with you is the knowing of that I was meant for something different, something of purpose is when so my dad sobered up when I was 14. I was 14 and a half, 15 years old. I was in a small town in Saskatchewan speaking to a group of high school students about the value of Alatine. So Alatine, for those of you who don't know, is for children of alcoholics, for them to come together and really kind of sort out all the things that we face, because alcoholism as a disease brings up a lot of, I guess, our
Mhm.
dark side of our parents, our dark shadow selves of ourselves. And we tend to not have a lot of self-confidence, self-esteem. A lot of children of alcoholics, chameleon, just never know who you're going to get that day. You show up differently because your parents show up differently.
Right.
But I remember standing on stage speaking about Alatine, and I thought, I belong here. And it was probably the first time in my life that I
Wow.
felt like I belonged someplace.
Speaking at the front of the room
At the front of the room, yeah, sharing my knowledge, sharing my passion, sharing it so that other people could move out of pain and experience what I was experiencing,
Mhm.
which was the piece of Alatine, which was a belonging. Because there's a room of high school, of school-aged children sharing their experiences. And it was this, oh, I'm not like this really weird
Right.
girl, right? I'm other young people have the same challenges that I have, and it, and you're in comparison at that time, I would talk differently about comparison, but I remember thinking, well, my life isn't quite that bad.
Right.
Like I've had my pile of poo, but it's like my dad is sober
Right.
and my mom's not throwing away booze so that the neighbors don't know. My mom's not hiding, so there's like a lot of things that go on with children and spouses of alcoholics.
Mhm.
So I really had this essence and this flavor of gratitude, right? So being 14 years old, and then the next piece was being 15. I left home when I was 16. I was 16 and a half years old when I left home. And I have similar values to my parents, but there was just something really different. And I made a mistake with my mom and dad in my household. And my solution was to run away.
Mm.
And my parents allowed me, and really being in AA and Al-Anon, that's part of you allow your children to like experience the life they're experiencing. And so I left home and they allowed me the opportunity to leave home. Whereas most parents would have said, it's okay, don't leave, we love you. My mom and dad were like, if that's their decision, then that's their decision. Right? What I was really looking for was acceptance from my mom and dad. And whether they knew how to do it or whatever, I didn't receive that. That's not on them, that's on
Mhm.
me. That was, there's so many lessons. And so I left home. I was 16 and a half. I was in grade 12. I was working for my mom and dad at the hotel. I continued to work. I graduated. I went to university. I tried to get a student loan to go to university, couldn't. Had to go back and ask my parents to pay to go to university. They said yes, thank goodness, with the caveat of I had to live where they wanted me to live. This is actually part of my journey. So I lived with a nun my first year of university across from F.L.A.W.C. And she was an alcoholic. And so
None.
the cycle of we use the word, no disrespect, but the cycle of craziness continued, right? The cycle of living with an alcoholic who's a nun, who lied about everything, deprivation of food, deprivation of water, deprivation of sleep, was my first experience, my first year of university. And when I shared that with my mom and dad, they didn't believe me, and for good reason. I certainly was not truthful all the time with my parents, right? And they didn't believe me, and I was blamed for this situation with this nun. And I remember, sitting across from my parents in this situation. The nun is blatantly lying, and my roommates are with me, and they're all like, no, Ranchelle is like, she, the sister holds out on food. We're not allowed to drink after a certain time. Like, And my mom and dad still not believing me, right? And I remember thinking, you know, the craziness of this situation, and the the lesson for me was that I didn't have value. And when I say lesson for that is throughout my life, and I think this is a belief that I have throughout everyone's life, everything happens for you, right? And so it was more evidence, right, that I wasn't enough.
Right.
And that's kind of in the story of my life, right? I'm not acceptable over here. I'm not enough. And so I need to be something different, which is where the chameleon comes in, which can be a strength and a weakness, right? You get to a space where you start to believe all the lies that are happening for you.
Right.
You start to believe everybody else. And so it really, I mean, certainly I'm grateful. I'm truly grateful for all of those experiences, because it's led me to this space now as this 52-year-old woman who's really worked through and continues to work through my value, but I am enough, right? And it really, for me, was insidious. Like it's, you know, I had successful businesses. Cheryl, you and I met at Curves Franchises, right?
Right.
I was in partnership with my mom and dad. We owned 8 Curves franchises, and so many amazing lessons there as well. Really hustling for my self-worth, the hustle and grind, sacrificed my relationship with my former husband, sacrificed my health to prove that I was worthy, right? And so that happens when you have this value disconnect of self. You spend all this time trying to prove yourself, right? And so there's just like so many lessons, you know, with that.
Wow.
You know, so from that, yeah, from that childhood experience, but those aha moments where this awareness that I felt like should be in a different reality. I felt like I was meant to be doing things like this. I was meant to be on stage. I was meant to share my purpose and my passion with people. And I
And
was
your
meant to go,
story.
right? And yeah, I was meant to go through every single experience that I've gone to so that I could be this woman today showing up with you and Anita, so I can have
Yeah.
this conversation. So yeah,
Which is you think, man, wasn't there an easier way of doing things?
right,
But if it was easy, it wouldn't be the journey providing the results
right,
that it's providing for you, and it wouldn't fuel the passion for the things that you do now, Ranchelle. Right? So let's talk a little bit about what you do right now, because I think both areas of your life, like your own business and the shared business. But I want to talk first about your own business and the work that you're doing and the people that you're helping. So if you'd share a little bit about Ignite, and I'm just going to let you talk, because it's brilliant. It really is.
Wow, thank you. You know, I do. I have and I say I have an incredible business because I really believe that the gift of the name, like everything, was downloaded to me, right? So the name of my company is Ignite Your Success Coaching and Consulting. And before that, it was a different company name. But I remember thinking, what am I passionate about? And it really is about igniting other women's success in all areas. You know, I don't believe that we can segregate, like, here's my health and wellness, and here's my relationship, and here's my business. Although we try to.
Yes, we do.
Well, we try to, right? I remember showing up as a different person in my business than I was in my personal life, and how unhappy I was because no one actually knew who I was because I held back, right? And so when I had this download to change my company name to Ignite Your Success Coaching and Consulting, and just realized that really what I wanted to do was I wanted to have honest and teach women and coach women to be authentically themselves. And sometimes I struggle with that word because I think it's used a lot now. But for me, it was this sense and understanding that I showed up differently in business than I did as a mom, than I did in my own personal with my friends, as I did as a lover or a wife or a girlfriend. And I really wanted to stop doing that. I really wanted to grab all of those personalities and step up to who I authentically am. And I didn't actually know who that was. I didn't know who I authentically was. And so I thought must be other women out there who are pretending to be something or someone that they're not, and they're
Mhm.
holding themselves back so that, and then insert whatever, so that someone loves me or I'm accepted or I don't upset people. So when I realized that, well, A, that I wasn't the only woman who was doing this, and B, that I just have a natural sense of building businesses. So some people have a natural gift of money, like accounting and
Mhm.
uh, Cheryl, your natural gift is, of course, organizing and channeling. I mean, just naturally, we all, show up. Mine is building business, and it's comes very simple to me.
Mhm.
And the other piece of that, though, and what I really started to be aware of was it was the mindset behind building the business that
Right.
I either had uber success or uber failure. I've almost been bankrupt, right? I've had $1 million company. I've been on both sides of that. I say the coin, right? But both sides. And the difference was 100% my mindset because the skill set was the same. The
Right.
woman who had all the curves and generated over $1 million in revenue was the same person as the woman that I'll say I started out to be. I've transformed quite a bit over the last 3 years. But that woman, the difference is it was what was going on within my mind, right? The mindset piece to it.
Mhm.
And so in my coaching and consulting, often people come to me because they want to build their business. And it's just something I can sit down with someone, as you've experienced, Cheryl, and say, oh, this is what you need to do. Like I call myself an intuitive business strategist. I get downloads from your guides,
Mhm.
my guides, to like, here's how you need to show up in your business. And then what happens is the yeah buts. So then my clients have, well, yeah, but this, and yeah, but that, and yeah, but the Facebook algorithms, or yeah, but da 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 da. And it's the yeah buts that I spend most of my time because those are the limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
And we all have them. Doesn't matter how confident we are, we all have limiting beliefs where we're programmed with them. So I've been spent the last 3 years really of my 2 years of probably of my coaching practice really diving into what does it look like for you for people to live a limitless life, because we are limitless but we believe that we're not, and that's that piece. So what would it be? Imagine your life, your business,
Mhm.
if there were no limits. If you could decide that you wanted to be, do, or have anything, you made the intention and it happened. Almost like magic. It's not quite almost. It's not, there's no magical thinking to it, although people think that there is. It happens by magic in the sense of you make a decision, you visualize, right, what that looks like. You invoke a feeling, and then there's both a science and spiritual perspective to it, Cheryl. So the scientific perspective is your reticular activating system kicks in and starts to look for opportunities for that thing to happen. Sometimes they look like obstacles and challenges, like an investment in a coaching program,
Exactly.
right? A new skill set that you need to develop, something you have to learn, something you need to let go of. Like it doesn't always come with like fairy dust and wrapped in a pretty bow. And here's the rainbow and pot of gold.
No,
I know, sorry. Now she's
I
looking at me like,
like
okay,
the
what?
fairies and the elementals. Thank you very much.
Right, absolutely, right. And then from a spiritual perspective, what I always tell my clients is when you make a decision and you add the energy of abundance and love and prosperity,
Mhm.
you add this feeling to it, you have a visualization, you visualize as if it's happening now, the universe, so the universe, spirit, God, Buddha, Allah,
Creator,
intelligence,
whatever term
creator,
you want to
whatever it
give it.
is for you, conspires to make this happen.
So
It
before you
must.
go further,
Mhm.
I want to back up here for a second
You betcha.
because you talked about this being a shift in mindset. But to me, the whole time I'm hearing, no, your mind's a receptive device. It's a shift in your heart set.
Ooh,
It's what you've just spoken of
yeah,
to me
yeah.
is an energetic shift of opening your heart to full potential.
I'm so glad we're recording this, my friend, as you get your downloads and I'm getting my downloads. I'm like trying to write down. Yes, I love that. And that is a great distinction. That is a beautiful distinction.
Because our minds are brilliant, but really they're controlled by the subconscious, which are the belief systems you were talking about and the programs and the paradigms that we grew up with. We all have them. Good, bad, or indifferent, we all have them.
Right.
But when we can shift how our heart feels, how we can open our heart to the potential,
Right.
do you think that has a bigger impact on business?
Absolutely. I wrote that down, as you can see. You know what, that is once again my brilliant channeler. Yes, a resounding yes. You know, and I love this because, you know, recently I decided to work with David Bayer, who's a coach, and I'm taking his facilitator program. And I love this. He has a great quote, which is, your brain is a goal achieving machine. It must perform that way. And so knowing that then, and adding this too, it's a shift in the heart sets to open our heart to our full potential. Absolutely a resounding yes. Makes my heart full. It's going like this, boom, boom. It's like the beautiful gift that you gave me when you channeled for me, the big, bold, and beautiful, right? And, you know, it took me a couple of months to, you know, I guess digest that from a heartfelt perspective. And it was about being big and being bold and being beautiful, like as in a being statement, versus beauty like an outer, or big as in my physical stature. Because I know that you can't really tell everyone. I'm like 5'10" with no heels. So I wear heels quite a bit. And so I'm, you know, over 6 feet tall. My shoulders are, well, I'm sitting in a really wide chair, so my shoulders are almost as wide as my chair. And so I have this really big and bold stature, but I also have big ideas and bold ideas.
And a personality that fills that all.
To go with it, right? So, but at the gift that I received from you, and then as I started to work with my guides, you know, and creator, it's about being this way, Ranchelle.
Not doing.
Right? Not doing. So yes, it is about.
So how much do you think women in business can shift? Because right now I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing more women in business, but I'm seeing them get caught up in the masculine way of doing things versus stepping into their feminine presence. As the world as a whole starts to shift, our consciousness is shifting. The divine feminine is coming forward. It's not that the divine masculine, there's anything wrong with it, but it's allowing women to step more into the feminine role. And I think for a lot of women, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we've been brought up with the belief system that it's the old boys way. It's old boys club. I know I dealt with that my whole life. I, you know, wanted to break those barriers. But when it comes to business, we still almost automatically, that's that subconscious programming, think, well, I got to do it what the guys do. I have to show up the way the guys show up, et cetera, et cetera. How do you think what you do as a coach can help shift the women and their thinking into the feminine energy?
Ooh, as I tear up, thank you. As I tear up, tell that I'm very passionate about this.
Yes, I know.
Because I was that woman in my masculine energy for most of my life. And it's hard. It's like you're hustling and you're grinding and you're working hard, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. And if you want to be successful, you have to work hard. And, you know, and I remember, you know, a couple of years ago, well, actually, even with curves, it was like this, it just felt untruthful that I had to sacrifice my family for my business, or that I had to sacrifice your health for my business.
For a health business.
Right, for a health business, that you had to work hard in order to achieve. And if you wanted to achieve more, you had to work harder. I mean, I was already working like at my capacity. As I started to explore what it meant for me to be feminine in business, and I'm gonna clarify, like that's important, the feminine in business. What came to me was that wealth, and I'm going to use the word wealth versus money. So wealth, abundance, prosperity is a feminine, creative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about doing more. It's about how do I want to show up? So who am I being, right? Who am I tapping into, or what am I tapping into? Not worrying about the how, which is we're taught to, if you want to do something, you have to figure out the how first.
Yeah, you have to plan it all out. So if you want to go from A to B, you need to know all the steps, work your way backwards, and then follow those steps.
Right? Yeah.
That's not working.
No, and even the thought of that, like literally my tummy gets nauseated, and I'm like, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit, right? Because that's that, and that works really well for men, I think, because it's a masculine way of showing up. Mm-hmm. But women, and I say that, and then I want to add the caveat of in the universal laws, which is, I coach from the universal laws by Raymond Hall. We talk about this creative energy, this space of just being, and having this faith in the laws that so for example, there's the universal law of supply, meaning if I have a desire, the supply must be there. Mm-hmm. The desire that is given to me is from source energy, God created, right? So if I have that desire, then the opportunity and the ability to make that happen is here right now. The challenge is, though, is we want, as you said, we want to know all the steps. But we have to first make the decision first that we want to manifest. We want to create that. And then the how unfolds, but not all at the same time.
And not how we think.
And not how we think. Right? You and I had that conversation the other day. We were talking about, right, what you're doing. And I said, oh, I think you should do this. And you were like, that's not what I thought was going to happen. Right? And so the how will unfold as it should. So what we have control over is our thoughts of creation, meaning I have this desire and then this opportunity to surrender. Right. And when I say surrender, I'm not talking about the white flag, I give in, I've given up, but moving into ebb and flow, moving into the heart right? Space. Listening, taking inspired action, right? And so moving into this feminine way of doing business, this spirit-led way of doing business is really about understanding who I need to be. So I'll speak. So who you need to be, and then the steps to do. And I guess the other thing that I add to that, Cheryl, is I work with the core desired feelings, Danielle Laporte desire map. And she talks about how do you want to feel, right? So you make these lists of how you want your life to feel. And so we do that. And then it's like, so if you want to feel that way, who do you need to be? And then what do you need to do? So I want to feel magical like this. So this last year, I decided that my life was to be magical, was to feel magical in every area of my life, and passionate and inspired. And so if I want to feel that way, then who do I need to be? Well, this human species, Ranchelle, needs to be courageous, right? I need to be focused. I need to be committed, right? I need to be open to spirit, open to the messages, right? I need to surrender what I think it should look like.
That's probably the biggest and hardest of everything you just said.
Right? Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely. Because I'm a planner, right? I'm a planner.
What do I do?
I don't need to know all the little details, but I need to know right? I need to know some of them, but enough that before, if it wasn't going my way, it would irritate me. And so now it's like my plan is always, what do I want to manifest? What do I want to create? And that's the only thing I need to know. And the how will come. Right. So the magic is in the feminine way of showing up, is, for my belief, my opinion, is that it's about sitting in the stillness in the heart, of the heartfelt stillness, and listening. And so the God of my understanding always says, yes, yes, do this. Yes, go there. Yes, have coffee. Yes, try this. Yes, wear this. Like, right. And my ego goes, yes, but. And that's the distinction for me, right? Is there's always a but attached to an ego piece of it, or a non-led spirit decision.
Or judgment.
Or judgment. Yeah, right.
Yeah, or instant failure.
Yeah.
Right. When ego is in control, there's fear. And when spirit is in control, it's nothing but love.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, go do this. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay. Right. And then people tend to, I don't know if men do, because of course I'm not a man. And then, but what happens is we go, well, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I did this, and I'm going to just be like something like marketing. You create a marketing like funnel, right? So this opportunity marketing campaign, we'll use that word. And you pull the trigger, and it may not look the way that we thought it was going to look. So the most of the time what we do is we go, well, I suck. What did I do wrong? Well, that darn Facebook algorithm stuff, I can't figure this out. I'm not good at business. I'm not good at marketing. And then we start telling ourselves that. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we start to see more evidence of all that, because that's how the brain works, right? However, if we just stopped in that moment and said, what went really well with this? What could I have done differently? Right? And maybe what could I have done better? And we don't ever ask what's wrong, because there's nothing wrong.
Or what did I learn from this?
Right? Yeah, because nothing ever happens to us. Everything happens for us.
I think that in itself, that simple little shift, not just in our verbiage. The verbiage is the easy part to shift.
Yeah.
The belief system is a little bit of a challenge. Yeah. But I think that in itself, going out of victim, because everything is happening to me, and stepping into, hold on a minute. Nothing happens to me. Everything happens for me. Love that. Love that little gem.
Yeah, right. And I mean, the challenge with that, truthfully, is that there's some really bad things that happen to people, right? I have experienced physical abuse. Mm-hmm. I've experienced mental abuse. I've experienced sexual abuse. I've experienced divorce. I've experienced infidelity. I've experienced betrayal, abandonment. So I could spend my life feeling sorry for myself. Mm-hmm. And there were times that I did. And when I really moved into a complete surrender and acceptance of all of those things happened for me, right? And sometimes it took a little while for me to understand what the for me was for.
Right.
The answer may not come right away, but I certainly know with all of my heart that all of those experiences happened for me, so I could be here today with you, Cheryl. I could have this conversation. I could talk about surrender. I could talk about, understanding that all of these things are going on, but I'm a much better human being. I'm a much better woman, mm-hmm. a much better mother, a much better, friend, lover, wife, etc.
Coach, consultant. Yes.
Everything, because of all of those experiences that I've had. And because I can relate without entanglement. And I say that because I think sometimes it happens, especially with coaching. And Cheryl, you probably have noticed this too. What you do is that we need to hold space for our clients, mm-hmm. but not get entangled in their story, even if we can relate to it. And so it's that, I can relate and not get entangled. I can hold space for people because I've had pretty much most really awful experiences that most people have had, mm-hmm. in some form or the other. Right? So it just makes me a better coach.
And I was just going to say that it makes you better at you, not just coach, but better at Ranchelle.
A better version.
A better version of you. Cool. I can't believe how much time has just gone wham.
I know. I was like, what?
Right? So this may need to be a part 2 where we talk about the other aspect of your other business partnership and your mission and goals with that. How does that sound?
We can absolutely do that.
Excellent. And by that time, maybe Anita will be with us, and that'll change the conversation and the dynamics. I want to thank you so much, Ranchelle. We will put a link to your business and your information in the comment section below. From the bottom of my heart, well, from the middle of my heart, not from the bottom, right from the very middle of my heart. My friend, I have adored you and loved you for many, many years, and that continues to expand. You're always willing to have a great conversation and share your wisdom so willingly. Love you. Thank you so much, Ranchelle.
Peace for everyone. Thank you.